2020, a year of many unforeseen challenges, where all had to adjust to a new reality. And despite it all, Got Kush TV was and still is here to serve you. And what a year it's been. We began the repatriation journey with our new show, Voyage to Motherland. We dropped the knowledge as you took your seats in the Kush Community and joined us to hold a meds with the Ankh Doctor. Got Kush TV invited you to get involved in controversial conversation and enter Decipher. And when the world went into lockdown, we kept you connected with the quarantine convos. We kept our finger on the pulse of the community with coverage of the reparations rebellion and the Black Pound Day all day. Not to mention more wordsmith and a slew of new music video releases for your viewing pleasure and the official launch of the Got Kush TV website. We also brought you events including Women of Power and of course Blacktricity. Now in 2021 Got Kush TV is continuing to level up the thing. First up, we are pleased to inform you that gotkushtv.com is open to exclusive membership. Sign up to any of our membership tiers and you will gain access to playbacks from all our events and an ever-growing list of exclusive original content, including interviews, documentaries, and shows such as Kush Community. To become an official member of gotkushtv.com, simply hit the membership tab. Stay tuned for continued updates. Then there's the new shows. Look out for more Decipher, Wordsmith, Hold a Meds with the Ankh Doctor, and weekly episodes of Quarantine Convos focused on health, wellness, education, and inspiration for our community. As always, the Got Kush TV film team is available for hire to cover all your events, adverts, infomercials, and all filming needs. Visit us at gotkushtv.com for hire inquiries and more information. Stand by all black businesses through our website, social media, and show content. We have monumental advertising, sponsorship, and network opportunities catering specially for you. Check out the advertising page on gotkushtv.com for more information. Got Kush TV is in full flight to join us for the ride. There's 4 things you can do. Subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell to make sure you don't miss a release. Join us on all social media and hit up gotkushtv.com to subscribe to our mailing list and sign up to become a Got Kush TV member for exclusive opportunities in the near future. Let us know you are feeling our content by hitting that ever so important button of approval. Comment. We want to hear your feedback on everything we are putting out. So make sure your presence is felt in the comment section. Share. Spread the word by hitting that share button and exposing your circle to the magnificence that is Got Kush TV. We are looking forward to building with you throughout 2021 and servicing you with high quality black media production. Got Kush TV, beyond discussion, beyond debate, we put the power in black media.
Quarantine Convos. Enjoy weekly discussions with people from around the world, assisting us in dealing with this normal, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We feature nutritionists, psychologists, therapists, personal trainers, home educators, legal experts, and more, bringing you all the information and inspiration you need. Check out Quarantine Convos every Thursday from 7 p.m. live on Got Kush TV.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You done know we're there, we're inside the building. It's Got Kush TV, Quarantine Convos are back again. Black History Month special. Greetings one and all, and once again greetings to the co-host Sister Mut. How you doing, sis?
Whew. So some technical challenges today.
Yeah, so this, you know what I'm
We're
saying?
in
It's all good.
retrograde, though. We're in retrograde, so
I say
it's
it because sometimes,
challenges, yeah. But we push through. Yeah.
trust me, we do. I've been experiencing them all day. You know, I had a
Woo! So have
I'm
I. I
teaching.
so have I.
Yeah, man. I'm teaching in the homeschool university. For those who joined us for the first in our education series, you would have met Queen Thais. And I just completed my first my last class in the first run of African Centered Media Studies lessons, and yeah, there's all kinds of technicals throughout the throughout the
Yeah,
class.
no doubt.
But I say it, guy, you know. So we give thanks for the initiative anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's good to be back with quarantine convos, especially during Black History Month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been intense. It's been intense, but it's been it's been a little while. It's been a little minute since we've done one now. So we're back in the
Indeed.
building.
With
Yeah,
they
we
are.
got we got a 3-day special, family. Yeah, so you're looking at day 1 of the Got Kush Quarantine Convo-a-thon. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So I'm
indeed. Yes,
not going to
indeed.
spoil it for you. If you haven't subscribed and you don't know who's coming tomorrow, then you will just have to wait until the end of the show. And if you check the notifications, otherwise we are not going to tell you just yet.
Indeed.
You'll have to stay tuned. Yeah.
Indeed.
So how are you? Been a minute.
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. You know what I'm saying? Enough things are going on, you know what I'm saying, on the family front and these things, and we're keeping the ships afloat. But we're stabilizing at the moment. So we give thanks for stability and adjustment and all these things, and then yeah, man, we're soon take off.
Yeah. We've got fighting for my children's rights in the building. I see. Greetings. Greetings. So look, this is it, right? We've got a lot to cover in the next couple of days, yeah, and there's a lot going on. And if anyone has seen my Instagram, they've seen it's been an interesting one over the last 24 hours. Yes, I will share that with you. Indeed, yes, we've got something lined up, and yes, it's my first event, family. So you are invited to this event that I'm going to discuss with you shortly. But before we get into that, I think we should look at some of the news, yeah, in quarantine convo fashion, yeah, as we do. Couple of things that came up this week, yeah. Now I know that there was a player that fell down quite early on. I think it was Denmark, yeah, in the Euros, yeah. So there's a conversation right now that why are footballers not taking Little Miss Maxine, and that's in the building. And when it happened, when I saw it, because I watched it, and I thought, yeah, I just immediately thought, and I thought, oh, okay, interesting. So, and that has come up as quite an important factor for footballers going forward. So that I heard this week. Today, however, this is a concern coming from my field in particular. Very much a concern. Now,
sorry, sis, before you move on, sis, I don't want to interrupt you, but it's also a thing for. I'm hearing about basketball players. It's a big thing in the basketball world right about now.
Right.
In terms of Maxime, because some players have refused to take it, and there's some talk about whether their contracts will be continued or not.
Right. Yeah. Like, should they be? Exactly that. Yeah, I did hear about that conversation, seeping into football. Yeah. And so it's going to be who does, who doesn't type of situation. Yeah, that might be coming up. So yeah, thank you for that point. Yeah, because it's becoming an issue for sport across the board, actually. So that's the thing that we have to be aware of. I saw this today, and I thought this was really interesting because it was the way it was covered. So it was the New York Times' article that all the radio stations referred to this article, but didn't refer to other articles that were considered, if you like, UK articles that didn't have the same concerns and same heat as this post here. And it says 1 in 5 of England's most critical ill COVID patients are unvaccinated. And these are pregnant women, a study finds, from the NHS apparently. So I just thought, okay, and when I was listening to it today, I thought, okay, what's all this about? Because it's about the drive. And so there was a big drive, and now there's a new big drive for this. And so there was a consultation last night I was listening to, and they were talking to a doctor, and one woman was saying, yeah, but there's this and there was that, and there was, when everybody was asking, was that, there was this big conversation about changing women's menstrual cycle. Yeah. And people were not sure if it was real or what people said, but I heard it last night. A consultant on one of the big shows, big stations, they answered, and I've been doing their studies, and it was changing people's cycles, but they want to say, just to I suppose dispel any myth, is that it won't affect this and it won't affect that, though women may have been being in it more in excess. They're not attributing to miscarriage. Anyway,
Right,
so
right.
we move forward and we move on. So just cover yourselves, ladies, and don't be pressured. So that's my news. Sorry about that.
I've got a few news bits and a couple historical. Well, they're kind of related actually. Historical points. True say it's Black History Month. We might as well just blitz some of the history as well. Much of it actually anniversary takes place this week, right? So first and foremost, yesterday was the beginning of a historical trial. And it's a trial against a man by the name of Blaise Compaoré, who was formerly the president of Burkina Faso, a nation in West Africa that is north of Ghana. He was a president up until 2015 or 2016, I believe, when he was overthrown. But he was the president of that country from 1987, and he became the president of that country because he was involved in the assassination of a man by the name of Thomas Sankara. Yes, who was a revolutionary leader, great revolutionary leader, and actually responsible for naming the nation Burkina Faso, which in one of the native languages means the land of upright people. Yeah, and Thomas Sankara is very, very key, a key Pan-Africanist revolutionary leader. He done many, many great things that time doesn't allow to go into the list of the great things that he'd done. But he was known to be incorruptible. He was known to stand firmly on the rights and the upward mobility of women in the society. He was known to be anti-colonial, and he refused IMF loans and World Bank loans and American government loans, but his government was also able to make the nation of Burkina Faso food self-sufficient in the space of 4 years. And that achievement is considerable when we consider the fact that there is barely a nation, should I say, in Africa or the Caribbean right now that can call itself food self-sufficient. And another one of his achievements is that he was able to involve the nation in planting over 1 million, some say 2 million trees to combat the expansion of the desert into Burkina Faso. And he himself was a part of that program, but he was assassinated with using Blaise Compaoré, but really was orchestrated by the French. Yeah, his assassination was orchestrated by the French. And so yesterday, after 30 odd years, the man who is said to have been responsible for his assassination, a trial of conviction for his assassination was began. Now, the only problem is that unfortunately the French, who are definitely complicit, are not also on trial. And so we want to make sure that, that we say that, because really and truly it was the French who orchestrated the thing. And that's not to say that Blaise should not go on trial and be convicted and charged and face punishment for, being involved. But really and truly, we know that the world in which we live is a world that will protect European imperialists in terms of their crimes against African peoples. And so we just want to point that out and note that hypocrisy right there. And in fact, it's notable because actually Thomas Sankara was assassinated on the 15th of October, in the year 1987. All right, which is just a few days' time. Yeah. And having said that, a man who was actually assassinated 4 years earlier on the day after, the 16th of October, is a man by the name of Maurice Bishop, who was the leader of Revolutionary Grenada, right? So these two men I always juxtapose because their life stories are very, very similar, and they were assassinated in the same month 4 years apart. And even when at the beginning of Thomas Sankara's presidency, near the beginning, I should say, he went to America and delivered a speech. And in the speech, he talks about the fact that when he was in prison at one point in Burkina Faso, he wrote to Maurice Bishop, and they had some communication, and he wanted to connect with him when he came out of prison. It just so happens that when he came out of prison, Maurice Bishop was assassinated. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting one where these situations are concerned. And finally, just want to say that yesterday was actually the anniversary, 1965, the 11th of October was the beginning of the Morant Bay Rebellion, yeah, as led by the great Paul Bogle on the island of Jamaica, you know what I'm saying, in the Caribbean, yeah. Very, very instrumental rebellion. And bearing in mind that 1865 is after the so-called abolition of the so-called slavery, yeah. In the Caribbean, in the English-speaking Caribbean. So why are there rebellions in the Caribbean in 1865? Yeah, good question to ask. And a lot of that can be found in the story of Paul Bogle and the fact that basically the so-called white planter class still very much own the land, and the Africans were fighting for the right and access to land. And we are reliably informed that the person who actually kicked off the rebellion, although Paul Bogle was the leader and led the people, the rebellion kicked off because a sister, a woman by the name of Letitia Gohegan, actually threw a rock at the governor. Yeah, what's it called? And that really was the thing that signal, you know, everybody for just draw for the arms and go and get to work, you know what I'm saying, very immediately. But women were very much a part, yeah, of practically every anti-slavery rebellion. Like, we have to remember that women weren't waiting on plantations for man them to deal with the business and come back and inform them of victory. No, the women them on plantations were very, very, very much involved in the anti-slavery rebellions as well, and the anti-colonial rebellions, which this was. So shout out to Paul Bogle, Letitia Gohegan, and all the ancestors there in a St. Thomas. And if you know anything about St. Thomas, it's serious business when it comes to African spirituality. So let's big up the people in St. Thomas and all the ancestors who fought in that rebellion right there. You know what I'm saying? No, so look at Black History Month.
I love that. I love that, and I think you should have that. Now, I am already. You're already nominated to do it on for the next 2 days.
Oh wow, we don't rinse out all the thing. Them. I'm joking. But
I know you got it inside you. I know you can pull it through.
We'll do it.
Leave me with your magic, bro.
We'll do.
So yeah, that was beautiful, and I think that's very fitting and very, very important, because at the end of the day, you know, this is what this is about. These 3 days that we're doing, yeah. So it does get my goat sometimes that we have to be kind of having these conversations still about Black History Month. But when we think about the children, yeah, and it's an intense time to learn about it. That's all I can say. Yeah, for them, it's an intense time, and we should take that as opportunity. I don't like the sort of a month. I don't like that whole conversation too much. But what I do know is that our young people benefit from it. Yeah, and at least with that, there's peace within my soul on that one. That's what I'll say about that. Yeah. So.
All right, you know what? We'll get into this in a second, but Tonya has said it was Aboriginal Day on yesterday in America, which is an interesting point. No, but because as far what I understand it is that originally the Americans celebrate Columbus Day on that day, and then some are calling it Aboriginal Day. So I'm going to get into the politics of that. I'm questioning some of that. So yeah, but anyway, that's another story for another time. But just to say, Burning Spear said Christopher Columbus was a damn blasted liar. I would just want to affirm that today. You know what I'm saying? But if that is the case, if it was Aboriginal Day yesterday, I remember seeing something this week actually where I saw a post this week where this Aboriginal woman was talking to a panel, a bit like Question Time, and she was saying, talking about Indigenous, how the non-Indigenous are speaking for the Indigenous. So they have their place and they have their their position, and they should stand strong in their position, with it. Yeah? Most definitely, we stand in solidarity with the Native peoples and the Indigenous of the Americas. Most definitely, you know what I'm saying.
All right, so I might need a drum roll. You'll actually get a drum. I know you will. One guy, I know. Okay. let the party begin.
Indeed.
Yes. So before we go into our guest tonight, who is lovely, and I'll leave our brother Shakara to do the bio so eloquently. But I want to go into.
Sorry, family.
No, no, no.
3-year-olds. 3-year-olds on
Having a
deck.
sing
You know what I
song
mean?
with me. Have a sing
Yeah.
song with me. Cue for a song. And I want to share an event, and I'll with you guys that we have been working on for Black History Month, but not only that, inside of that, it's half term. It fits lovingly inside of this conversation for our young people. Thank you. It fits lovely inside of what our young people need. And then if anyone knows or went to the festival previously, the Inagu Storytelling Festival retreat, family retreat, you'll know that, a lot of work was done on community, village life, and myself and the brother tonight, who is our guest, we happened to do a workshop together. We did our workshops at the same time. Our workshops were at the same time on the same days, and we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? So we decided, on the second day, we would do our workshop together. And so we did, and we had a bit of a remix inside of doing that day, and it was fantastic. And we shared our parts, and the fluidity of that was very powerful. And so we decided, look, this is an opportunity for us to bring that work, so Bonfu's work, for those who didn't get to experience that, but experience that in a different environment and from a new and strong place inside of the modern conversations that we have to have here. Because a lot of the conversations, one of the conversations we can have when we're in village life, it's quite easy, it's quite effortless, but it can be a challenge inside of city life, as Bonfu Soulmate talks about inside of her work. So that was the little background. So we have this event, and a fantastic event at that, and I want you to be really, really excited about this, because I am looking forward to it. I can't wait. I can hardly sleep. I just want you to know, I'm not sleeping because I'm excited. But I want to be able to let you know the real importance of this. This is called Ama'ihe Na'ike, and Ma'ihe Na'ike actually means strength and wisdom, and it's Igbo. And why we came up with that was because, in a conversation in our village life, wisdom, comes from our elders, and us young people are our strength. If we had to do battle, it's our young people we would draw upon. You're not going to send your 90-year-old grandmother to to fight the war. Well, you might, but you just might not. So I want you to recognize the power of that. And so what we've done is we've created a conversation, an intergenerational conversation for our young people and our elders to communicate. And so inside of that communication, we wanted to bring it to you in spoken word, in many different genres. We have a spiritual grime MC. We have poetry, we have song, we have much on the bill. So I just want to read off the names for you, so that is clear. We have Tubada is on the building, inside of that building for that, Sheba Montserrat, our very own Shakara, the poetic princess. Now, this is a young lady who's 14, a very powerful young lady indeed. Be ready for her. Daddy Makes Dough, our very own Daddy Makes Dough. Shahida of Holder Poetry, and Tina Amana, and Hayley Venus. And of course, we are being sponsored by Timeless DJ, Love Vegan, MAG, yes, that's Manhood Academy Global, Shanti Chi, and of course, lovingly got Kush TV. So that will be on Saturday, the 23rd of October from 6 till 10 p.m. And it will be at the Love Gift Vegan restaurant in Lewisham, Lehigh Road. So what I want you to do is be able to make sure that you check it out. Go to the Eventbrite. Tickets are on sale. We have two types of tickets actually, and everyone's going to get a meal. So that's what we're about. Feeding our family. And breaking bread together. So we have two tickets. We have a standard ticket for one, and that is an £8 ticket. And then the second ticket is a group of 4 or a family of 4 half-time prices. So, and that will be £20. Yeah. So that's what we're doing for you inside of that. Yeah. So I hope that you will attend. Bring your children, bring the young people. It will be clean. Yeah. We're going to be very strict and tight on the language that is getting used. We want it to be open to all. We also want you, if you want to come down, there's also going to be an opportunity for you to have the open mic section open for you if you would love to share your skills. And look, this is the space. Yeah, share what it is that you want to share with children, young people, and your wisdom with them. Yeah, and let them speak to you. Yeah, this is heart work, soul work. Yeah, so I want you to be able to sit down with yourself in the next few days. If you want to come down, if you're feeling brave, if you're feeling guided, yeah, come down and come onto the open mic. Otherwise, just come down and enjoy the vibration. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah, and the food is off the chain. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything else about it because it's not fair on other vendors, but I just want you to know that, yeah. And it's at Lovegrove Vegan. Let me give you the full address. It's 386 Lehigh Road, SE12 8RW. So yeah, that is it. Now I do have one thing to say. It's a competition time. Yes, this is the drum. We need a drum roll. Yeah, we need it again. Are you ready? All right, so competition time. So we are giving away 2 sets of tickets, 1 general entry and 1 family or group ticket. Yeah, and the way in which to do this, the first person for the ticket, the general ticket, yeah, that's admission for 1. The first person right now to go onto my Instagram and put in the chat Amaihe Naike gets a ticket. That's number 1. Yeah, so that's the first person to do that right now. The second set of tickets, yeah, this is a little longer. Yeah, now I would like you to, yeah, if you can perform it or not perform it, yeah, but I'd like you to write a piece, yeah, let's say 200 words, yeah, 200 words thereabouts, yeah, approximately, give or take, yeah, 200 words on generational healing, yeah, and the best piece of work, yeah, will get a ticket for 4 people to attend on that day. Yeah, so and I'd like the deadline for that is by the end. If you're a hard worker, yeah, it's Thursday. Yeah, so by the end of the show on Thursday, we'll be pulling it out, and I'll have names. Yeah, if no one goes for it, then the ticket stays, and it stays to be a paid ticket. But you know what? Play the game. Yeah, go hard or go home. Yeah, if you're in it to win it, yeah, I shall see that in my inbox. Yeah, so just DM me and 200 words. All right, so let's move on. That's it. Done. That's what's out the way.
Yeah, family. So you know what I mean. Amahi na Ike. Yeah. You know what I'm saying on Sister Mutt's Instagram if you want to get your ticket right about now for come true.
Yep.
Big up Mama Martina as well because she have the good food at Love Gift Vegan. So you know what I'm saying we look forward to that event right there. So and I think we should bring on our guest. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. All right, so go ahead with the bio, and then I'll get on with the proverb here.
All right, then our guest, kings and queens, is Olusola Adebiyi, yeah, aka Sola Story, has been described as a captivating African performance storyteller. He grew up in a Yoruba people of what is now called Nigeria household and hails from a lineage of orators, priests, and hunters. The proverbs and legends he learned as a child from his family served as root soil in his development for the last 25 years as a professional storyteller. Sola Story is also an instructor in a dance like African martial art called KaZimba Ngoma. You do KaZimba, I didn't know that, you know. And has been since 2001. He uses the Manyamas animal forms to enhance his storytelling narratives. Speaking of this, one review of him says, quote, his unique and powerful, captivating blend of physical storytelling, hypnotic narratives, and audience participation is inspirational, unforgettable, and resonates with audiences of all types. And with that, we're going to hand over to Sister Mut for the proverb for today.
Well, it's a well-known proverb, yeah, but it speaks of our brother Sola Story. We for Shola, it really is a powerful conversation. He really has a powerful conversation about. Oh, can't see him. He has a powerful conversation about togetherness, Ubuntu. Yeah, he has a beautiful story and a beautiful conversation, and he lives from that. Yeah, togetherness, and so. The proverb for this evening, a well-known one, but very fitting. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So with that, we bring on our brother Sola Story.
Hashima.
Greetings, Hashima. Hashima, how are you?
Blessed to be here on Got Push TV. I've been listening to the things that have been said. I was really inspired by hearing about the poor Boko and sister. That's the rock at the governor's head, and I hope it caught his head.
Yes, King. So, do you have a fan on or something? Because I'm hearing some noise in the background, and you might want to come closer to your mic if you can. It might be just that you might want to come closer to your mic so we can hear you better. Yeah, thank you very much for being here. Yes, that sounds better. That does sound better. Give thanks, and let's big up to Vital Empress over there in Ghana. Respect yourself, you know what I'm saying, bringing that mama land vibration. We could do with the little son where you have over there, so you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying, because yeah, we didn't have a particularly good summer in England. I know some of you are thinking, but you never have a good summer in England, which is true. But this summer was particularly a bit. So that's why, you know what I'm saying? Big up to Joan Williams Roberts as well. And big up to Kushti Cosmetics. You don't know St. Thomas. Yeah, man. That's the Obia and the Mayal and the Kumina there. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's sort of, you know, all them vibration there in St. Thomas, you know. So we got the St. Thomas family, you know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. You know.
So you carry on. Don't mind me.
Go ahead.
So, beloved brothers. So, Shola, it's important for our audience. I got to meet you for the first time actually when we did the festival. Yeah, and so I am new to the person that you are, and I've over the time that we've met and had a conversations, yeah, you're a phenomenal human being, yeah, with a great heart and a strong spirit, yeah, and I give thanks for that, yeah, and an authenticity, yeah, that you can't pay for, yeah. Yeah, so I just want the audience to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about how you came into your storytelling path.
Okay, well, as always, before I even begin to do that, I must first of all give thanks to the ancestors who brought the three of us here today.
Yeah, share.
And I give thanks to the ancestors of all people that Sakara was called on, those of us who paved the way, those who, because this is Black History Month, but at the end of the day, we're talking about our Ebulan History Month, but about hundreds of thousands of years. And I think that it's worthwhile bringing that in, because that's really what led to my storytelling journey. Before I called myself a storyteller, I attended PHM, I went to lectures, I went on marches, I listened to the stories of our people and felt a great deal of pain for a long time. I remember one memory is when I was about 16, a guy called Martin Bernal, who was an Asian guy, wrote a book called Black Athena. And it was in the Guardian or the Times, I don't remember which newspaper it was, but it said Afro-Asiatic origin of ancient Egypt. Now, up to that point, even though I am Yoruba and my parents are Yoruba, grandparents and grandparents, I didn't know anything about any African anything outside of Nigeria. All I knew was that Africans have been enslaved, resulting in the Caribbean islands being populated with Africans and the Americans. And I looked at this and then I felt, wow, there's something more until at least 10 years later when I was introduced to Sheikh Anta Diop, and that's where my journey began. But most importantly, all during that time, I was telling stories to, first of all, my younger siblings, then my children, and I became a storyteller. I started calling myself a storyteller in 1996 when I took the place of a performer for a story that I narrated and actually performed it, and it got good reviews. So I did it again. But for a long time, the longest time, I only dared to perform that one story over and over and over again because I knew it works. But then, evolution happens. I'm here today. I would now, I'm a storyteller, I'm a performer, but most importantly, me, I'm an educator. I believe that young people can learn from the stories that we tell, especially if we tell them in a particular way with a particular resonance. So for me, storytelling is something that is more than just fun. I'm going to leave it there.
You're on mute, sis.
Sorry, I'm just doing a little tick here. Yeah. So when you you took this part, you said you took someone else's place, and then you called yourself a storyteller. Yeah, it's from that point. Yeah, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you know, where did it go transmute to from there?
Well, so in my bio, you read that I do KaZimba Ngoma. I heard Shakara go, what? I didn't know you do KaZimba Ngoma.
Yeah, because no, hold on there. So before you go into that, because I want to touch upon that something there, you know, right? Because no, the reason why is because my uncle Kweku used to do KaZimba, yeah. And as a child, I always wanted to do KaZimba, but but all the classes were always in South London, so I couldn't do it as a child because I couldn't travel to South London every week, right? And by the time I get to the man now and can just go anywhere I want to go by myself, I want to stop to the classes them. So I vex with the whole I know because I never got to do no KaZimba classes. So I was gonna ask you if there's any still going on and with them there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but big up because it's a beautiful, beautiful martial art. For those who may not be aware, it looks like what you might be familiar with in terms of capoeira, but from the origin of it. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, in Central Africa. In the Central Africa region. So yeah, go ahead, Raj. I don't want to interrupt you, but yeah, you know, you did touch on it. So so yeah, go ahead.
So, well, first of all, KaZimba Ngoma, as you said, is an African martial art form.
Yes.
It's a martial art form. In the publicity, you said martial science. I believe that more accurately describes it because we are tasked to learn about the anatomy. We need to know about moods and certain aspects of psychology. We have to know how to work and how to project. So all of those things actually made storytelling quite easily because when I told that story, it was about a praying mantis and a crane and their journey. But because I had praying mantis in KaZimba, we have a style, and the crane, we also have a style, I was able to put that into the storytelling. And so alive visually as well as through my voice. And when I was telling stories to children, I noticed that, say there was a young man who, or a young woman, but a young man who you could see that the teachers were very tense with, and that they were waiting for outbursts from that child, and that they were ready to say something like, if you carry on, you're going to have to get out of the class. And almost always a black youth, almost always, nearly every time, even if there was a school full of white people and there was one black youth, that was a black youth there, that him or her, they were the one that was a problem, right? So I noticed that when I was telling the stories, that if I pointed at that youth at key moments, that they felt like I was talking about them. So therefore, I was able to pass messages to them through the storytelling. And what would often happen is that the teachers would say things like, oh, Paul has never sat so still before. We've never seen Letitia listen like that. I would set them tasks for the storytelling. This bad you would be the person that would be most into the facilitated part, writing, drawing, spoken word, doing these things. And it took some time, but I started to realize that what they were seeing in me was a reflection of them, and that I was bringing something to them that was making them feel good about their being, not about what they do and what they did, which is what they were getting in trouble for, but for who they were. And when I started to realize that, I said to myself, wow, this storytelling is a thing. I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn the craft. Mixed with storytelling, I'm going to find out more about how to convey messages in ways that reach our children deep. And then I'll just finish by saying what catalyzed that and made it big is I told a story about lions and hyenas, and the lions are us, hyenas are the Mzungu people, and how the hyenas came into our territory and managed to make us, the hyenas, behave like hyenas. And then I was talking to these youths in Tottenham, and it just came to me to start talking about postcodes and start asking about, so you see these postcodes you're fighting over. Which of these postcodes, tell me something you own in this postcode. Tell me even a paving stone, the streets, and you own anything? And of course they knew that they didn't own a damn thing. And the conversation impacted them so powerfully. I didn't even know afterwards that they all came up and they were all talking to me. The youth workers were saying, that was fantastic. This is exactly what we've been wanting to tell them, etc., etc., etc. So that into recognizing that I tell stories. I love telling. I can tell anybody, but when it comes to black youth, that's when you get full power.
Yes. Give thanks, my brother. I do wanna. So you mentioned a number of different things like that appealed to me. One was the KaZimba. The other was you mentioned PACM, Pan African Congress movement. Like obviously, I grew up in PACM's hand, basically, in the community, so my first. Oh, by the way, remind me. So for those who may not be aware, this is as a literal meaning. Ngoma is a word in many different Bantu languages that relates to drumming and dancing. The drum, the dance, and different traditional dances. What's the literal meaning of KaZimba again? It escapes me.
Right. Okay. So, Ka is the spirit. When you look at Hermetic temples, you often see this. So this is the Ka, raising the Ka, and Zimba is the same as Simba. Ngoma, as you say, in Bantu languages across the stretch of Africa, it means like drumming, dancing, singing, poetry, movement, rhythm. So the literal meaning of KaZimba Ngoma is spirit of the young lion in motion.
Beautiful. Because as I recall it, the meaning was pretty deep, right? So I wanted to get that out for people to understand, because even that name speaks to a story, right? The spirit of the young lion in motion. There's a story within that, and then I think you touched on it earlier as well. But within the art, there are manyamas, which are forms related to the different animal types. But do they also, yeah? But do they also have stories associated with the animal types?
Yeah. So the story I was talking about
Right.
then,
Yes.
the lion, and so
Yes.
Simba and Fizzy, as we call them, the lion and the hyena.
Hmm.
There are stories that go,
Associated.
and they recognize what I've understood is that the stories are kind of like the Yoruba Orisha. So there's no animal that is better than any other one. And
Hmm.
although some do bad things, but they're not
Hmm.
entirely bad and they're not entirely good. They're kind of
Hmm.
like human beings, but they have superpowers.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
All
where
right.
my from anyway. They got it from the Orisha and our stories.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, cool, cool, cool. So and so I'm getting this idea of like a very holistic art form in the sense of the fact that there, because the martial form is also a dance. There is song involved. There is storytelling involved, and you mentioned that it's a martial science. So we're not just learning about the forms and the combat and the song and the dance. We're also learning about the body and the psychology, yeah, associated with it as well, right? So we're really learning about who we are,
Mm.
yes, in the practice of all of this beautiful culture, yeah, retention and cultural expressions, let's say, yeah. So my question is, in terms of African storytelling traditions, yeah, there's obviously what function from your experience, yeah, as a Yoruba man, as somebody who's um come up in the Pan African community as a storyteller, what function does it play in broader community life, or like what purpose does it serve, yeah, in our broader community life? And you've touched on it already, but I want to ask that question explicitly.
Storytelling or Kazimba or both.
Storytelling, well, both, well, either, because I'm saying that they're related, but I was more specifically talking about the storytelling. But feel
So,
free to bring in any other element that is relevant, to you.
all right. Well, storytelling. I'll go with storytelling because
Hmm.
really, I would say that defines the whole journey. And that's because everything is a story.
Hmm.
Everything.
Hmm.
Storytelling is key because the condition of African people worldwide today is a story that we've been told that has kept us in a certain situation. The education system is a system of storytelling, even if we are learning about science. I
Hmm.
don't know, remember when you were at school, but when I was at school, we didn't only learn that the anode and the cathode create a polarity and that this causes an electric current to flow. We also learned about Thomas Edison, Einstein, Newton, Rutherford, all these white men, apart from Marie Curie, who was a woman. We learned all of this history as we were learning the science. And at the same time, we were learning the same in chemistry. We were learning all these English writers, the greatest writers in the world, Shakespeare, Chaucer, so on and so forth. All the we did music. Imagine though, I just imagine you're having the temerity, the absolute disgraceful cheek to say that they are the originators of music. Imagine. But anyway, so in every possible respect, I was bombarded. I was educated in this idea that you, mate, meaning me, you are less than. You're less than. We can prove you're less than because we can show you everything that we've done, but you people, you know, they do nothing. we learned that Africans were savages. Even we call it even escaping entertainment, man, because them times it was Tarzan and King Solomon's Mine and all them kind of films that show black people like baboons. Even though actually, when I've looked at it again, the black people in them films are not behaving like baboons. They're just behaving like black people. But the context and what the white people are saying about their behavior, that is what makes it baboonish. And so all them times, all I ever learned made me almost want to be white. I didn't like myself. Because I grew up in Manchester in a place called Disbury, where everybody was white. And so my first girlfriends were white and all of those things. And I had no idea that there was something else to follow. But then when I came to London, London's full up of black people, isn't it? So I was just seeing black. Well, actually, before I came to London, I ran away from Disbury to Moss Side, which, if you know Manchester, that's a black area, you know, especially then. Then I started to go to blues, the kind of black life. Which I won't tell you too much about that. London was a better city, man. African societies. Going to play. I saw you know, Shakara. And your dad's music, and I see you riding on with a drum. All them things, right?
Yes.
And the more I spoke to other people, the more I realized that people listened to what I said. And that people would come back and ask me things about what I'd said. And I started to, during those meetings, stand up at times and speak and be listened to. And I realized that there was a resonance to my voice that people found. People wanted to listen to me talking. You know, because that Empress.
So his son, that's your son, that's his boy.
Oh, all I could see was his eyes. Yes.
Handsome. Yeah, go ahead, carry on. Yeah.
People were listening to what I was saying.
Yeah, just intently.
It occurred to me, if people listen to what you're saying, you better know what you're talking about, innit? You better find something to say. And also, and this is key, I think, for our walk in this world, particularly in relation to the young people, is that if you're going to talk it, you have to walk it. Because if you talk it without walking it, you will be discovered. You will be discovered at some point. And all your good works, all your good talks will be undermined by the things that people find out about the way that you live, you know. So it's been a development journey, Shakara. I've had to learn about meditation, go into the spiritual side of KaZimba. I used to be very much in the physical side, but go into more of the spiritual side of KaZimba. Learn that my stories that I created, that I was saying are about other people, were about me first, and then learn how to be vulnerable. Because many of us as men, we're not vulnerable. If somebody say, Sola, that story you told, I didn't really like it. Instead of taking it as feedback and saying, why didn't you like it? Most of us as men will rear up. Oh, you mean? And we start shouting, arguing. We bust up our organizations. Too many. YouTube must be able to name at least 5 organizations that you know of that were doing well, and then the leaders had an argument. And instead of sorting it out, calling the elders, being heart-centered about it, they just destroyed the whole organization. you know. So it's those things that I'm stimulated by. I'm kind of like Tony Browder said. In the Browder Files, I'm motivated away from the pain of that kind of dissolution and disenfranchisement, and I'm motivated towards the joy of Ubuntu. And honestly, one of the things that really inspires me is when my mom tells me stories about when she was a little girl, because all the things that we believe about ourselves when we become more conscious, they're true. They're true. A judge could not become a judge in Yoruba society unless they were the person that everybody said had the most integrity. They couldn't just go and do an exam, or other people say, yeah, that person should be a judge because he's my mate. No, they had to have integrity. So everybody trusted them. And the society, my mum told me that in the market, by the way, for you sisters who don't know this, in West Africa, African women were the economic power in our traditional societies. It was not the men. The women held the society. The trans-Saharan trade was controlled by West African women. Just for those of you that don't know that. So my mum told me that in the marketplaces, the women would leave 2 baskets outside their store. One would have rocks in and the other one would be empty. And then say you came to buy something from their store and they weren't around, you would take a rock and you will put it in the empty basket. So by the time the woman come back now, she'll see 12 rocks, 20 rocks or whatever. She knows that 20 people are going to come and pay her. She's not going to look for them all. She's not looking for them. She's just relaxing, and then one by one they come, they pay her. This is in a busy marketplace. Try imagine leaving your goods indoors to market without anybody looking, and then just leave them there and see what will happen, you know? So this is about us. When we talk about why are we like this, why are we like that, we have become so. We have been indoctrinated through false stories. It's not our essential nature. Our essential nature, when we were left alone, is as I've just described.
You know, I loved, you know, when you shared that. I mean, I'm tempted to ask you to do a story, to be fair, and you know, I am. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, a story. You know what I mean? It's the balance of energy that this conversation has. It's like, yeah, it's like the yin and the yang, the powers. Yeah, because you know, it's wonderful. And you know, when you talk about the experience of, you know, village life, you know, you're sharing a lot of kind of how it kind of the things that we are, you know, all gravitating to in terms of our village mindset. Yeah. And I think it's really important now for us to be think, especially the times that we are in now, the village mindset is key to our progression. Yeah. But I wanted to go, you know, I wanted to go back a little bit to when you were talking about the holistic side of your work. Yeah, because when you talk about, you know, using the visual, using the body, yeah, this is you know, when I was looking at the, you know, looking into the work that you do, you coined it a mythic medicine program, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so tell us how that works, and if people wanted to, you know, if young people were getting involved, or new adults, or adults were really new to this as well. I think this is important because so many people are not exposed to the traditions of storytelling. Yeah, so many people, you know, they see it as, you know, young people don't even get stories really anymore read to them in the same way. Everything is right in front of them in a screen, so they're not really experiencing that connectedness that storytelling gives, that heart work that storytelling gives, yeah, that imagination that storytelling gives, yeah. Like, so our children are missing out on these out of these things. Like, you know, there's times when, you know, let's say there's a power cut, yeah, if let's say there was a power cut in the house, you know, back in the days in the 80s, you used to have pure power cuts. Right? These young people they're lucky, yeah. But every night, like I think there was one. I had one in a lockdown situation, yeah. And it was like, oh, you know, it was that whole experience of, you know, navigating the house in the dark. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, you know, let's navigate. Let's look at what's in the way or what's not in the way and what should not be in the way later. Yeah, yeah, going forward, if there is anything in the way. And so, you know, when we use our imagination, when we take, you know, when we start to tune in, what I get from the work that you do is how you seek to tune into the senses, yeah, inside of your work. And I would like to probably ask you with that, what's your favorite mode, if you have one? What's your favorite mode of I know that you obviously you will obviously address it, yeah, and curate, yeah, in the way that you do it, and narrate in the way that you do. But let's say you take that form and put that to a side, and there's a young person, you know, we're looking at the learning styles of young people, and one of them, you know, auditory is not, you know, going to give it to them in the same way as maybe something visually. What other modes what do you find is most effective, would I say? Yeah, where you want it to, you know, I suppose land for them over there where they are. Yeah.
That's a good question, you know. That's a good question. In fact, it's a kind of question that only somebody who has thought about this would even ask. And yeah, respect for that. The reason why I'm stopping is because I'm actually thinking about, I was working in a pupil referral, SCMH unit. And every time I did an assembly, all these young people who can't listen, can't sit still, can't concentrate, were listening, sitting still, concentrating, engaging with the meaning of the story. After the story, sitting there for quite some time and following the gist of the story. And I was trying to get the teachers and the staff in the school to think, to almost like take your question backwards and to ask them what it was that was making the children listen. Why were they listening to me but not to them? You know? And they couldn't understand that, okay, yes, it is about me because I've got a particular way, but it wasn't purely that. It's because of my understanding of what the young people needed. And that's what I was trying to convey, but they weren't really listening to what I was saying. And what I'm trying to convey is this, that all children have 5 senses, apart from, you know, if they're disabled, then they don't. But they still have some senses. And the key to really effective storytelling or facilitation is to actually address all the senses, all of them, because we can't know. If I just introduce a group of young people, I can't know straight away what someone's strength is, what someone's learning preference is. It takes time to get to see that and to know that. So what I can do is begin by drumming, and I can begin with call and response. And so they're calling and they're responding. I can introduce movement into it and ask everybody to move. And always, there's some people, usually the black children, who really have some nice moves. And so we can, and then also, because they've got nice moves and they're being celebrated, it's also a self-esteem booster in that situation. And I'm bigging them up at the same time. Also, there are some people who are visual, and my storytelling, because I use animal forms, is very visual. And also, for them, you know, if you're in a English primary school, you're not seeing people coming in wearing clothes like this, you know. So even my appearance, beads, amulets, bangle, all these things, they create a certain ambience so that when I walk in, I can see them like whispering to each other, or if they're teenagers, like, and they're really cool, you know. So they're too cool, you know. they're excited about anything. Nothing can excite them. So they're just like this. But even them, because they're still children, they may be like, but you start them. And in the call and response, once they join the call and response, that's it. As soon as they join in with that. So the short answer to your question really is to be really fluent with different modalities, sense modalities, and to practice it, not to leave it to chance and just hope that in the moment you'll get it. There is an element of freestyling in storytelling, actually, and where I adapt to what's present in the moment, maybe even put things in the story I hadn't intended to put in there, but always going with a plan, preparation, being ready for the worst, and being really holding out a field of intention for the best in actual fact, visualizing it before I go, entering the room before anybody else is there, and blessing the room, walking around and intending how people are going to relate. And when I'm when I'm a storyteller in the room, I'm in charge. It's not the teacher. So I tell the teacher how I want them to be in the story. I ask them, I'll say, we're going to really need you to participate. If you're at the back marking your books, it means that the children see you and them as different and separate, and that the story is a childish thing. But if you're involved, it makes a big difference, So I would do that. Does that answer your question fully, or is there more?
Yeah, it does answer my question. And I think what you're saying is that, you did say that you have to be very fluent with all the different modalities. Yeah. And I think that is very important. And I suppose it's a case of knowing, as and when, to use it. And, it's blended learning at the same time, isn't it now? So it's about that use of the different modalities at different times and cementing the information, layering the information so it goes in. Yeah. I hear that. Now, I'm looking at the comments, and there is a request. Yeah, there is. I'm not the only one requesting a short story here. Yeah, I want to know. Not the only one.
I suppose if one calls oneself a storyteller, one has to expect them kind of.
Well, so let's look at a couple of the comments here. So we have our Kushti comments, and they say integrity is a characteristic which is really appreciated. Saluted. I think we were talking a little bit about integrity earlier, and when Shakara was talking about Thomas Sankara, what stood out for me was one of the things is that, when you talk about not being corruptible, yeah, that really stood out in what you had to say. Like, that's a particular type of character, yeah, that we are, we're in deep need of that type of characters, type of caliber of human beings coming through, yeah, if not us, then who, yeah. And so, yeah, when I heard that, I got a chill. I was like, whoa, how's that? So yeah, that was beautiful. I really appreciate that, and that's stuck with me for that on that. So we have another comment here. And it's a Kabilan Story Month, yeah, as of course you would know that, Shakira. We've got Blissful Blues says, to one and all, true words. Thank you, Brother Sola, for sharing your story. We have created and manifested this picture. Yes, we need a story. And it wasn't just me, yeah. Yeah,
So yeah, I will tell you a story.
All right, I'll just finish these comments and then I'll give you the floor. Okay. So we have Jason Planter. The reasoning reminds me of listening to the Ghanaian story of the brother and Nancy the spider, which was a metaphor story. Yeah, you know, so many of us kind of grew up with that and introduced that. That's sort of the way that we introduce storytelling to our children. Like everybody kind of had that experience. A lot of us had that experience, even when, you know, even in the 80s I had that experience. Yes, we've got another one here. Yes, please, a story would be great. Kushni Cosmetics. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, definitely. Kushni Cosmetics says definitely, Sister Moon. I think when we're talking about being uncorruptible, yeah, you know, it would be lovely to see those type of beings. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that day. Yeah, because it's coming. Yeah, it's definitely coming, and we're gonna see who's who. Yeah. All right. So listen, let's give you the floor. And yes, let's tell us a story. We're gonna be closing the show in the next, say, 20 minutes or so. We're not gonna actually open up the space. I think it's, you know, it's a sacred space that's getting created here inside of that, so we're not gonna open up the space for people to come in on this stream, but we are gonna create that space for you to share out the remaining 15 20 minutes, and then we will close the show. So if there's anything Shakara wants to say before that.
Before the story.
Yes.
All right, yeah, no problem. So in fact, this planter Jason mentioning Anansi is as sparked something in the sense that obviously I'm from my family, Jamaica and Antigua, but I always resonate with Anansi because Anansi is arguably, especially in Jamaica, one of the most prominent of our African spiritual retentions. Yeah, to the point whereby many people that are from Jamaica associate Anansi with Jamaica, not understanding that he is a part of the Akan tradition, like literally the same name. Do you know what I'm saying? And so for those who are not aware, Anansi is often considered what is called abosom in the Akan, which is the manifestations, the principles of nature. Yeah, similar to Orisha in the Yoruba. Yeah, and so he represents knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, and bearing in mind that the event we got coming up is about strength and wisdom, right? Do you know what I'm saying? But he represents so many different things, and it always connects with me because of the extent to which it is an African spiritual retention. Although many of us who, you know, disconnected from the actual deeper meanings just consider it to be a story full of spiders, right? About a spider and all these things. So for you, brother Shola, in the sense of stories and being of Yoruba extraction and doing the work that you're doing, to what extent have you studied or been exposed to different storytelling traditions from the African diaspora? Yeah, and what can you share? What are you able to share about the similarities and differences between them in terms of form, in terms of usage, in terms of role or function within communities or families or whatever? Is there anything that you can share about that?
Yeah, I can. I have a question as well. Again, a question that shows that you have a knowledge about form and also similarities in order to be able to even ask the question. You see, I was saying this to my brother the other day, actually. One of the beautiful things about African tradition, right, is that wherever we are, we more or less do the same thing, you know. It's amazing. And I'm talking about if we are from South Africa and we end up in Australia, or if we're from West Africa, wherever we are, in Jamaica, in Louisiana, in the Gula people, in New Orleans, the people of Bahia in Brazil, we carry out our spiritual traditions and tell our stories in more or less the same ways. There are some forms which are different, you know. So in Jamaica, you might say crick and people say crack. In like Griot Chingele, we say bukweno, you say "Ee," you know. One of the things, but the important thing is though that we got a response wherever. I haven't been to. I've been to Uganda, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, in Nigeria, Jamaica, Antigua, Trinidad, especially in Grenada. People are doing the same thing.
Right.
People tell stories with drumming, sometimes with different types of percussion. Often sing stories, and the African stories, wherever we are, tend to have a meaning, and a very skilled storyteller usually creates a meaning that is relevant to the situation that the listeners are in, you know. And so the stories are teaching. The main, so the word griot is a specific term. So over here we say, you know, we call ourselves griots, but I'm aware that we're not really griots, because a griot is an actual lineage of people. You inherit the griot title, and it's an actual lineage of people who told the stories and gave the news of the kingdom to the royal family of the Mande people, which is like the Mandinka, the Shebro, the Wolof, like lots of different types of people from the Mali Empire. But the griot was a specific type of storyteller. But other than that, yeah, Anansi, the stories of Anansi are very similar to the stories of Agemo, which is the turtle in the Yoruba, and to Brer Rabbit in the States. You know, we are the same. We're one people, and our culture is apparent and expressed in similar ways wherever we are. So, in short, the answer to your story is yeah, absolutely, there's similarities between the stories from different traditions.
All right, bigging up to June, yeah, June tweets, you know what I'm saying, fellow
Yeah, true.
Antigua in the place, you know what I'm saying, you don't know. And also says, I remember being read to as a child when I heard Sola, with my world opened up to stories and my own writing. Thank you, King. The spirit of Ubuntu is alive, you know what I'm saying? So we give thanks for that. You don't know. I'm waiting for Sister Mott to return before we jump into this story. So you know what I mean. So I don't want her to miss that. You get me? By the way, brother Shola, you mentioned that you've been to Sierra Leone. The garms that you're wearing, is that Sierra Leone?
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
color.
yeah, I thought so. Right
They
now,
call it
that's
ronco.
say that again.
They call it ronco. Means like
Wonko.
yeah,
Right
ronco.
now, the thing is, because I identified it because of the colors, but that's another similarity that we have in especially like as far as West Africa is concerned. These weaving traditions you can find almost anywhere, and they look very very similar.
Yeah,
You know, across West Africa, it's a very distinct feature, yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
of Western Central African tradition. So yeah, it's another thing. Sister Mo, I'm gonna leave you to introduce this story, and so take it away.
Well, brother, look, I would love for you to introduce us to the story, and it might be the story that you mentioned earlier in regards to the lion and the hyenas conversation. I think that would be a fitting conversation, given you've mentioned it already. So the floor is yours, beloved.
Okay, all right then. Well, um, before I tell this story, I'm just going to ask you a question, and I'll answer the question at the end of the story. And the question is, do you know how they train elephants? Remember, an elephant is a mighty and powerful creature. So, in a place far from here, but near to them, the people before the time of the Ma'afa, in the time when the people had split into clans, were doing very nicely. Different clans had different functions. Some built the aerial walkways through the trees. Some were poets. Some were warriors. Some were philosophers. All had integrity. And amongst the people, there were no kings and no queens. They ruled themselves from their hearts and from the intelligence of their mind through the wisdom of their ancestors. All that is, except for one clan, the clan of Fizi, the hyena clan. They had a king. His name was Iku. Iku loved power, and Iku was about that. Iku had converted all of his subjects into power-hungry beings and had created an army. But even though Iku and his land were powerful in the force of arms, they still did not dare to take arms to the Simba clan. The Simba clan were mighty. And Iku knew that if they were to come to the Simba clan with open war, that would be the end of the Fiji clan. So instead, what Fiji did was went to the Simba clan as an ambassador. And as he was talking to the people of the Simba clan, he would let drop little nuggets of information about things that somebody else had said about somebody else. But the Simba clan were way too wise, and they saw the ravings, as they put it, of Fizzy as foolishness, and they laughed at him. They thought he was a comedian, slapped him on the back. They even invited him to parties so he could say those things, so they could all have a laugh and a joke. Now, Fizzy, Iku, was not happy about that. He consulted with his people, and his people suggested to him that he talk to the young people amongst the Simba clan. Now, the young people were like young people everywhere. They were just beginning to recognize each other as male and female, and they were posing for each other. So it was easy for Iku to come and speak to them. Do you know what the lioness of Eagle Rock said about you? She said your coat is mangy, your eyes are yellow, and your breath is stink. From person to person, he went spreading these types of messages until something that had never been seen in the land of Simba was seen. And that is the young men, the young lions, began to look at each other sideways and began to pop up their chest when they saw each other and began to growl and show their claws at each other. Something which had never been seen before. And eventually, the worst happened. A lion killed another lion. And when this happened, there was all out war. There was a lion called Bantu, who, just like the elephants, was incorruptible. And Bantu saw what time it was and made to leave the land. And as he was leaving, he saw a pack of lions and hyenas coming towards him, led by Iku. And Iku said, Bantu, where are you going? I will not stay with you. You are a warmonger, and I am leaving these lands. Well, I am now the king of these lands. Look at your lions. They are also bowing to me. Please leave as you like, but only after you bow to me and call me your majesty. Iku did not even know what had hit him as he flew 10 yards and slammed against the tree from the push of Bantu's paw. And Bantu turned and said to his people, run! And they were gone. Faster than Fizzy and his people could follow, but they did follow. And they followed far. And Bantu and his people ended up in a cave, a crystalline cave in the gorge of Caribou. And inside this cave were the Awun people, the turtles, the Wisdom clan. And the Wisdom clan had a representative who saw Bantu coming in sweating and said, Bantu, what is it you want? And Bantu said, sanctuary. Bantu, what is it you want? Safety. Bantu, what do you want? Peace. Then you shall have it. Sit in a circle and look into the still waters there. Do not look up or away, no matter what you see. And so Bantu and his lions sat around this circular dais, looking into the still waters. And as they looked, visions of possibilities arose in their minds, and they felt as though they were one with all things. And their bodies began to vibrate at a cellular level as though they were part of the planetary magnificence and all the stars, and they felt as though they were seen and that they saw. And during this time, Iku, along with his hench people, came running into the very cave where Bantu and his people were sat. And they looked, they could see footprints, but they could not see Bantu. And they searched angrily, and vexation turned and left. And Bantu and his people went to the land of Tembo, the land of the elephants. And as far as I know, they are there still. As for Iku continued his warmongering and committed so many atrocities on the land that his name, Iku, became the Yoruba word for death. So the story is a story that is, and by the way, that was a very shortened version of that story. So the story is a story that is about our people. We know that Europeans, the Mzungu people, have committed atrocities and killed many of us and destroyed our societies. What we often don't think about is that the Europeans found a mirror of themselves in some of us. And it was those people who they were able to collaborate with in order to destroy the people like Bantu. But the importance of the story is that Bantu and his people are still here amongst us, except now their names are Sister Mutsan, Sakara, and Brother Leader Mbandaka, and the other mighty ones amongst us. Those are Bantu, because the spirit of Bantu, as he looked into the still waters, which is an African meditational modality called water gazing. As he looked into the still waters, he knew himself. And the key to our freedom is self-knowledge, to recognize who we truly are. And I asked you a question at the beginning, which was, how do you capture and tame elephants? And I'm going to tell you, because of I know the time, otherwise I'd long it out and make people actually answer the question. But it's quite simple. They get elephants when they're babies. They get the children. There's nobody alive who has ever gone to Africa and tamed one of those African bull elephants and brought it to a circus. Nobody's ever done that, because the elephant will kill itself before it allows them to take it. It will try to kill them and they will have to kill it. Simple. However, they take the baby. They tie the baby's leg to a strong staff, a post. The baby walks in the perimeter that is allowed. As it gets older, the rope gets stronger. When the baby reaches what we would call teenage years, they just keep the rope on its foot, because the baby has become so conditioned, they don't even need to tie it to the post anymore. The baby just continues, the youth just continues walking round that central post, not recognizing that it can go anywhere. And when it's big enough that even if they did tie it to another post, it would just rip up the post anyway. It's so conditioned, it does everything that its trainer says, everything that its trainer commands. And that is our condition. We are the elephants who have become captives, not to Mzungu, but to our own minds. That's the story.
Ashe. I appreciate that. And it's a beautiful lesson. Yeah, and an important lesson especially during these times. Yeah, and it goes back to, the conversation around integrity again. Yeah, and not being corruptible again. Yeah, so I appreciate, the cyclical experience. Appreciate that. So look, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I also want, here I am. Yeah, I'm having some tech. And I wanted to thank you for coming on, but I also wanted to make sure that people got hold of you as well before you left the space this evening. I know that we're doing some work together, and it's a fantastic experience. And actually, I'm going to throw something in there. Yeah, anyone who's really listening right now. Yeah, the first person. Now I'm going to flash up our brother's Instagram. Yeah, that is Sola Story, and the first person to go on his Instagram. Yeah. And write the word Ama Ihe Na Ike, yeah, that you saw on the flyer. Yes, the flyer. The first person to do that gets a ticket. Yeah, so he gives one away, I give one away, and we give a family one away. How about
that? I have a question for both of you. Yeah.
Yes.
So, because I've been. But by the way, there's a beautiful video. There's a channel called The Medicine Show on YouTube. This brother, Igbo brother, who basically does breakdowns about Igbo Ordinani, which is the Igbo spirituality, and their philosophy and the concepts therein, and so on and so forth. And he has one, which is my favorite one. Like, he's got some of my brilliant videos, but one of my favorites, probably my favorite, is the one that he does on why the market is sacred, and he goes into what brother Shola was saying earlier in terms of that the women are the economic center, they run the market, right? And so I say that in relation to the fact that obviously, you know, we got a sister from Barbados and a brother who is Yoruba, yeah, but the name of the event is in Igbo, yeah. So what for, like, just as a final thing, like it's a very Pan-African diaspora, like, you know, thing to do, right? So why have you gone for this particular title in this particular language? Either one of you can answer that.
It was. We did look into a few different names, and when we actually had, I went to one of Brother Shola's workshops, which was the rebirth of the griot, quite soon after I met him, and there was a beautiful conversation and discussion and storytelling. It was beautiful, and and that came up. We discussed working together after we done the actual event, but we also, in terms of the name, for me, what stood out was what was the meaning going to be about, and there were many conversations that had happened, and when we went to the Anagu storytelling retreat, and I even conferred with my elder Chinyere Griot Chinyere on the name, we did the work, and I had a conversation with her about, you know, the importance of the wisdom and the strength, you know, again going back to the conversation earlier on about, you know, us as elders, you know, again, integrity, the wisdom of the elders and the strength of our young, and bridging that. And there was a few names that came up, and this one came about. And though you say, you know, you can say it loosely from Barbados, but, you know, in terms of my ancestry, Nigeria is on my mother's side. So when we had this conversation, and the brother being Yoruba himself, for me it was about that duality.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Robert Shola. Why is a Yoruba man? Why is a Yoruba man using Igbo? Please explain.
No, the reality is that for a Yoruba is one people. Our spiritual tradition is exactly the same. It's just got different. That's the only difference. Is when I say exactly, I mean exactly the same.
It's funny you should say that, because when I was speaking to our beloved Griot Chinri, we were talking about Sabon Fusoma's work, and we were talking about the fact that Burkina Faso, in terms of it, the Dangera people and the way in which they live, was more inclined. There were still remnants of that in the Igbo culture, so that's why also that we looked at it from that point of view.
And there's a relationship between the Dagara and the Dogon as well in Mali. So yeah, all these things are
interconnected. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm a fan of African languages, so I always like to delve into, you know, people's inspirations behind these things. You know what I'm saying? So yes, family. Saturday the 23rd of October, 6 p.m. at Love Gift Vegan. Yeah, our sister Mot and our brother Sola have brought this event to us. Amahi Naike. Yeah, wisdom and strength, and it's all about intergenerational transmission, transmitting stories from elders to young people, and elders also hearing the voice of youth. Yeah, so it's a pleasure for me to be able to take part in such an event. Definitely, I'm going to, you know, bring the fullness. And it's been a long time since I've hit a stage, you know, Kings and Queens. So you're gonna get it. It's gonna be serious. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a while. But I look forward to it. All the artists I most of them anyway I know of, and I know it's gonna be a powerful evening. So do come true, and make sure to check out, you know, the Instagram them and type in the name of the event for your free competition tickets and all these things.
Absolutely, and we've got some people in the chat here. I know we have Kushti Cosmetics as I give thanks. It was a pleasure listening to the wise story told in such a beautiful way. and we have Emily Gordon. Big up, Emily. A powerful story. Thank you, Shola. Here we go. A fellow Yoruba brother, of course. And oh, we have someone who's posted on your Insta and followed my brother. So that if this person is the first, then yeah, ticket goes to them. Yeah, on the door. Yeah, I just really want to address the the beauty of this event that's going to happen. I think it's going to be so powerful. It may well be the first of many, and I want to be able to assist our community to connect in ways that we haven't connected like that. Yeah, we have these events, a lot of our events in our community, a lot of them, the children attend, but is it for them? Is it for their ear, or do they just kind of get what they can from it? So we've been quite strict on the reality of criteria, in terms of the criteria for it, so that it can be palatable for all young ears. But I want to, before we leave as well, I want to put up Brother Shola's details for you to contact him. He also has a website here as well. Yeah, solastory.co.uk. And also yeah, you got that?
That's not my website. It's
that's not a website. Oh, sorry, I've got that. That's that's what I've got. Okay, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. We've got narrativemindfulness.com. That's the one. Sorry, I've got it from a message. But yeah, let me just pop that in as and so yeah, please do stay in touch with our brother, and check out his work, because at the end of the day, you're going to see us both there at the event. Yeah, on the 23rd. So get your skates on and buy the tickets. There was some challenges. If anyone any challenges today buying tickets, at one point it said it was sold out before the tickets had even gone on sale. Yeah, so that's okay. It's a retrograde moment. Yeah, it's all done now. This was like at the 11th hour, like a couple of hours before the show. I'm going, what's this? So some little technicals, but we're back in, and so get your tickets. There will be limited tickets. The space is an intimate space as well, so you want to make sure you're comfortable. Come early, yeah, ready to listen, take it in, engage in the wonderful conversations that are going to be having, and the questions and the interactive conversation and performance that's going to happen with our artists. You're going to have a chance to be able to ask a question to the artist about their piece, and so it's going to be much more connected with the artists, as opposed to just watching them and just in a passive mindset. Yeah, so we're all about action down here. Got Kush. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for a fantastic evening. I don't know if there's anything you want to say, Shakara, before we leave the building.
Good, I'm good. Yes, there is one thing. There is one thing. Tomorrow. That's just what said at the beginning of the show. We've got more things are going. Yeah, so we're doing a 3-day thing. So today we started with our Shola. Tomorrow we've got Sister Zaza Ali coming back to preview her new book, Keys to Womanhood, Kings and Queens. And last time with Sister Zaza was heated. So what I'm saying, we're gonna get it's gonna get hot again, Kings and Queens. What I'm saying, make sure they come true. And then I guess we'll save the next one until tomorrow with that. So
yes, why not? Why not?
So come true for Kings and Queens tomorrow at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. we'll be live with Sister Zaza Ali. Blessings.
Fantastic. Yeah, she'll be here at 8 o'clock discussing her book. Her book is a powerhouse. I had the luxury of her sending me a copy. It's going to be powerful. So I look forward to getting to that. Well, yeah, exactly. Christy Cosmetics. Wow, part 2. Yes, part 2 international. Yeah, so we're gonna have that in the building, and we appreciate you. Sola Story, we thank you so much. Yeah, for coming on and blessing us with the first day one of our Black History Month special 3-day quarantine convo-a-thon. Yeah. All the cuz. And appreciate you. I look forward to our work together, and we look forward to maybe having you come back again at another time. So appreciate that, give thanks, and that's all we have to say, beloveds. So on that note, as we do
tomorrow, kings and queens, remember tomorrow, Zaza Ali, remember that, and always remember, you ain't got nothing if you ain't got kush.
Quarantine Convos. Enjoy weekly discussions with people from around the world, assisting us in dealing with this normal, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We feature nutritionists, psychologists, therapists, personal trainers, home educators, legal experts, and more, bringing you all the information and inspiration you need. Check out Quarantine Convos every Thursday from 7 p.m. live on Got Kush TV.